Nintendo Selects are basically the above-average sized ends version of the greatest hits or platinum hits, where they take old games that everyone's already played and lower the price down to $20 while slapping a new label on the box. However, unlike Sony and Microsoft, Nintendo never seems to put their games on sale, and to be honest, I'm not really sure if that makes them greedy or not, because while it is nice to provide some high-quality games at lower prices so more people can enjoy them, it also sucks when you pay $60 for a game only for it to be like $20 in less than a year. So you know what, it's kinda nice to know that if I'm thinking about buying a Nintendo game, I don't gotta feel guilty or have mental battles in my head wondering whether or not Nintendo's gonna lower the price in like 10 minutes. However, regardless of how you feel about when Nintendo should lower the prices of their first-party games though, the fact is that actually finding a Switch in 2020 is even harder than finding my stepdad, who was last seen playing T-ball with his buddies at Falcon Field. So if for the foreseeable future, the majority of Switch owners are going to be the same people who already decided against paying full price for much of the console's library, then I think now's as good a time as any to try and haggle with some of these people by turning a few of the Switch's solid first-party titles into Nintendo Selects. And even beyond that, making some of the Switch's games more affordable would probably make the console more appealing for when the economy starts making a comeback as well. However, if Nintendo were to take the advice of a random man on YouTube with goofy pants and a fat ass, whether it be now or a little bit down the line, then the next big question would be which Switch games need price cuts the most and why? Well, turn your volume up to full blast, spike your nephew Sammy's head into the ground if he complains about the noise, press the subscribe button if you haven't already, and allow me, the world's smartest 5-year-old, Cameron all one word, to tell you the 11 best Switch games for the first wave of Nintendo Selects. Before I begin though, let me just make it clear that I'm not saying that all of these games should be selects at the same time right off the bat, just that any of them would be good for the first wave is all. So without further ado, let's start with number 11, every single Wii U port. Alright, so Nintendo's gotten a lot of flack for porting so many of their Wii U games over to the Switch at full price, but I never really saw a problem with this because making video games is friggin' expensive, and it would have really sucked for the developers who worked so hard on these games to just leave years worth of their lives on a failed console. And yeah, you could still argue that these ports should have all been $20 right off the bat, but with all these games at least getting slight upgrades, I don't think it's unfair for the development teams to want their games to have gotten a fair shake on the market. Although it is patently obvious that Tropical Freeze costing 10 more bucks on the Switch than it did the Wii U definitely warrants a spanking for Nintendo and Retro Studios, though. But while I do think that these games all deserved a fair shot on a console that wasn't only recently confirmed to exist by the CIA, I kinda think they've had their time to shine by now, so if any first-party Switch games need a price cut, then it would definitely be anything that came from the Wii U, and that alone would make the Switch like 1,000 more times appealing to anyone who still hasn't bought one yet. Because I mean, I can just about promise you that there aren't very many people out there who owned a Wii U who still haven't bought a Switch yet, although I'm sure to see a bunch of people lie about it in the comments, though. But speaking of Wii U ports, number 10, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Okay, so I know this is technically a Wii U port, but since it came out on the exact same day on both consoles, I kinda consider it to be a Switch game, and I'm pretty sure everybody else does too. I mean, usually launch games are the first ones to get the Select treatment since most people already own them, and if Nintendo were to put all the DLC onto the Switch cartridge for the Selects run of Breath of the Wild, then I could definitely see tons of people buying the game all over again just to make sure they could still play it in a post-apocalyptic world without the internet. Either way, pretty much everyone's already played this game by now anyway, so you might as well go ahead and cut the price, especially with a sequel coming out at some point. Number 9, Mario Tennis Aces. I'd honestly bet like $8 billion friggin' dollars that nobody in the world's buying a Nintendo Switch just to play Mario Tennis, because if any of those people ever existed in the past, then they probably already bought the game in console a long time ago. And look, don't get me wrong, Mario Tennis is always fun and everything, but it's not a killer app by any means. It's just one of those games that people buy in an impulse as a side game to change the pace up. So unless you're the CEO of Microsoft Bill Gates, and you're probably going to choose one of the $20 Switch games over the $60 tennis game if you're looking for something simple. However, if this were to be in the Nintendo Selects catalog though, then I could honestly picture there being a spike in sales, and then most of the people would genuinely have a good time with this game too. Number 8, ARMS. Whenever I hear people talk about ARMS in the Nintendo Switch, it's always followed by a dismissive snicker about how the game's apparently dead, despite the fact that it sold over 2 million copies and is getting one of its fighters added to Smash Ultimate, which might be the reason why the game's seeing a bit of a resurgence as of late, but either way, I'm sure Nintendo probably has plans for a sequel at some point, so to ensure that that game does well, it'd probably be a good idea to grow the fanbase as much as possible now by offering the first game for 20 bucks. I mean, this game might not be everyone's cup of tea, but even though I eventually moved on from it due to the fact that I don't typically care for fighting games, I still think it's different enough from any other fighter that I've ever played to where there's some serious untapped potential that could be fully realized if only the game were a little bit cheaper. Because I mean, at the end of the day, everyone's got bills to pay, and taking a risk on a weird 3D fighter just isn't very high on a lot of people's priorities. Or at least not for 60 bucks anyway. Number 7, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Regardless of how you feel about the Let's Go games, the fact is that they were just meant to hold fans over until Sword and Shield are ready to come out. Be nice, everybody, be nice. However, now that the Switch has got the two main Pokemon games that everyone was waiting for, it kinda leaves Let's Go in a bit of a weird spot, and while I'm sure they're still selling pretty well, I think they'd sell even better if there were a price cut. Not only because it'd make people who already bought one of these versions consider buying the other, but also because the Pokemon Go community is still pretty large, believe it or not, and given that those people are used to games being free, then it can't hurt to try and bring some of that fan base over to an actual video game console. Number 6. 1-2 Switch. Alright, so we all know that 1-2 Switch is a minigame compilation meant to show off what the Switch's Joy-Cons are capable of, much like Wii Sports did for the Wii. But you know, the thing about Wii Sports is that that game came packed in with every Wii console for free, so what are you doing charging $50 for 1-2 Switch, Nintendo? Number 5. Kirby Star Allies. Alright, so modern 2D Kirby might not be the greatest thing ever, but if you're honest with yourself and give it a chance, then it's still pretty cool. And while Star Allies in particular might not be anything special, I'd still consider it a steal for $20, because while there may be better 2D platformers out there, there's surprisingly not very many of them that are 4 players. And not only that, but rather than just being clones of Kirby, players 2 through 4 all have distinct roles to help in various ways, and if you ask me, I'd say that's going the extra mile and well worth 20 bones. Number 4. Super Mario Party. This game could have been awesome, but for some reason, overprotective Nintendo thinks the internet's evil and leads to diddling, so sadly, online multiplayer for this game sucks horse turds. However, that being said, if you're nothing like me and have actual friends you can play with in real life, then this game's pretty damn good. I know a lot of people probably don't care about online play, but I'm sorry, I just think it's inexcusable for a game like this to not have something so basic in the modern day. However, even though people would be disappointed to bring Super Mario Party home only to realize that it doesn't have online play, I'm sure most would let it slide once they realize that they only paid $20. So what are you waiting for, N-Dog? Just make Super Mario Party a Nintendo Select so I could justify buying it and letting the game collect dust on my shelf. Number 3. Xenoblade Chronicles 2: The Wrath of Khan. Xenoblade 2 was a great game for the Switch's first year, but you know what? Nintendo's little hybrid that could's just not big enough to support 2 Xenoblade games. So now that the remaster of the original's lurking around, I think it'd be a pretty good idea to lower the price of the older game, because there's a lot of people out there who have no idea what this genre's even all about, so $60 is asking a bit much for them to take such a big risk. I mean, action RPGs definitely aren't everyone's cup of tea, so it'd be nice if Nintendo let curious onlookers try it out for $20, and if those people liked it, then maybe they'd even consider buying the remaster. All I know is that for $20, Xenoblade 2 would probably offer the most value for a Nintendo Selects, except for maybe Breath of the Wild, but most of us have already played that anyway. But speaking of Zelda... Number 2. The Link's Awakening Remake. Alright, so I know this game's still somewhat recent at the time of this recording, but when you consider the fact that this game would have been $20 on a handheld if Nintendo still separated their game libraries up between 2 consoles, it kinda feels weird paying $60 for it, regardless of whether or not the game's worth it. Personally, I'd say that I probably love 2D Zelda games more than most people do, but to the average gamer who's used to massive sandbox worlds where you can do pretty much anything imaginable, a remake of a Game Boy Color game probably isn't gonna get him to jump on the bandwagon anytime soon. However, I think we could all agree that for $20, this game would be a pretty hard deal to pass up, and it'd probably introduce a lot of new people to 2D Zelda since, believe it or not, the Switch is actually a lot of people's first game console. Number 1. Super Mario Odyssey. Alright, so as of right now, the Switch has sold over 55 million consoles worldwide, but the true mystery here is that Super Mario Odyssey's only sold about 17 million copies, which begs the question, how on earth did 38 million people look at Super Mario Odyssey and say, nah, I'm good? I mean, I know there's plenty of people who bought more than one Switch, but no matter how you look at it, there's assloads of people who somehow haven't taken advantage of one of the best things the console's got to offer. And no matter how many times I look at it, the only reason I could think of as to why that may be is because maybe $60 is just too much money for some people, so whenever Nintendo starts doing selects, this game needs to be at the top of the list, because not only would it lead to more people playing it, but an easily affordable 3D Mario adventure would definitely sell more consoles, so any way you look at it, Mario Odyssey being $20 would only make the world a better place. But anyway, which Switch games do you think should be the first to become Nintendo Selects, though? Did any of my picks hit the ball out of the park? Did I miss anything obvious? Or is it still too soon for all this to happen at all? Either way, vote in the poll, let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, I'll try my goddamnedest to respond to everybody. But let me tell you, if there's 2 people who are way too good to be Nintendo Selects, then it would definitely be today's patrons of the day, John Polish Impossible to Say and JT Murdoch. If you want to be badasses like these two, then consider supporting FU Game Crew on Patreon for loot boxes and all kinds of wacky rewards in the mail. And if you want to make cameos, then send pictures or videos of you rocking any FU Game Crew merch doing whatever you want as long as YouTube allows it, like these badasses you see before you. And as always, like and share this video if you want to help this channel grow, and if you want to prove that you're not down with registered sex offenders, then go right ahead and press that subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, I'm going to be streaming on Twitch at Cameron All One Word whenever I play games from now on, so feel free to come hang out and heckle me sometime. My name's Cameron All One Word, and I'll be back with more videos soon.
So I want to say thank you to your loyalty, thank you for your support.